And if they expect me to walk away from Luton with nothing, I'll make very sure there's nothing to walk away from.
He's gone for a long range effort. The keeper is on target. Yeah! Yeah! No, he needs it from round the wall. Yeah! Yes, it is!
Hello and welcome to the Oak Road Hatter podcast, and we're previewing game 38 out of 38, Luton Town versus Fulham. It's been a hectic campaign and it feels just like yesterday since Darbo missed that penalty and afforded us Premier League football. It really has gone quick. Jamie Castle and Finley Cannon are here with me. Jamie, how are you?
Yeah, it's very scary. Life has gone in a flash in terms of, yeah, as you say, that Darbo penalty over the bar, and we were saying off air how it feels like yesterday, but also a year ago that we put 4 past Brighton at the Kenny and we were on cloud 9. But no, overall good. So obviously looking forward to the final Premier League game of the season, last Premier League game at Kenmouth Road for at least a season, maybe ever, if we move to Power Court before we see top flight football again. So now I'm really looking forward to the game on Sunday. Hope we can give the old girl one last cheer in top flight.
And Finn, barring a footballing miracle, will be playing our football in the Championship next season. So Sunday pretty much is the final Premier League dance for now, at least. How are you getting on, and how do you feel that this season is coming to an end?
Yeah, I'm good. So I've come to terms with the fact that we're most likely getting relegated, and I'm okay with it, to be honest. It's been fun in the Premier League, but there's a lot of things, as I've mentioned before, that aren't as fun. But I'm ready for the game against Fulham. I think it'll be a good game. It's always difficult to say when it's a final game of the season match and things are almost sort of settled at that point, so you can never really know what you're going to expect from the game. But I think it'll be a good day, and I think there'll be a decent atmosphere in the stadium. I think everyone will get behind the players before the game, during the game, and after the game as well, when the players go around for a lap of honour, because I think they fully deserve all the support that they get from everyone in the stadium, everyone watching on TV across the world as well. So no, I'm looking forward to it, and then I'm also quite ready for a break. I think a little break might be needed financially and just sort of emotionally maybe as well.
Yeah, we won't be resting too long with the Euros around the corner. Jamie, let's start with the slightest glimmer of hope in the smallest possibility ever that Luton Town can remain in the Premier League this season. That is if we overturn a 12-goal swing. That would take... Forest would need to lose 6-0. Luton need to win 6-0. As I say, a footballing miracle. Is that playing in the players' minds? Is that something, because it's such a small possibility, how do you think mindsets are from the playing side going into this?
I would be very, very, very surprised if it's on the players' minds at all, to be honest. I think the important thing is to go out and win the game. Because as you say, yeah, there is a minute glimmer of potential survival. But fundamentally, that only happens if you win the game. And as a side that's only won, 7 games this season, first of all, you just have to win the game, right? So let's forget the number of goals that we need to score. let's just concentrate on getting the 3 points. Now, clearly, if we manage to take a 2 or 3 goal lead pretty early on and Burnley somehow find themselves 2-0 up inside the first half an hour, then maybe we may get carried away and think that the insane is possible. But yeah, I think we'll probably find out pretty early on if Forest go 1-0 up inside 10 minutes at Turf Moor. Then all dreams, or whatever fan has a dream that it might happen, that will be quickly eroded. But no, for me, the absolute priority of the weekend is winning the game, and that's not because I want to see us potentially achieve the impossible, but I just want to quite rightly win the title of best promoted side. And the last thing I want to do is lose that game at the weekend. Burnley do their bit and win the game, and then they end up 18th. Because clearly, obviously, based on the table, that they would say that they deserve to finish at the highest of the 3. But I think just based on consistency over the course of 38 games, we fundamentally deserve to be the club that has the title of best promoted team. And what is that worth? Not a lot, but just mentally, to think of where we've come from going into last season as sort of punching above our weight, getting promoted against the odds through the playoffs against teams like Burnley and Sheffield United that are parachute payment teams and other parachute payment teams in the league. So then go up to the top flight and then be on the back foot even more because we've had to spend money on the ground, and Burnley spending 100 million or so, Sheffield United doing the same, us limiting to only really sort of 20-25 million pound of transfer signings and still finish the better team in the season is big mentally, and I think just proves why as fans going into the Championship next season we should be confident of our chances, because we have one of the best recruitment teams in the country. In my opinion, we have one of the best young British managers in the country. We've got one of the best boards in the country. Now, if you have all of that in going into a league where you are one of the financially better off sides because you've got parachute money, then common sense would think that we'd have a pretty good go at promotion next year. So yeah, I think first of all, win the game on Sunday. That's all that matters. And I think the 24-25 season for me starts on Sunday. You need to start off on the right foot and go into next season on the back of a win in the Premier League. I think it could mean a lot to the players that stay around next season.
And Finn, Jamie says their next season starts on Sunday. When you look at the team, when you look at, there's players there that we could expect to depart. There's players there that naturally won't be playing for us next season. Would that come into your thinking when say you're Rob Edwards thinking about how we approach this, what players to play? Are you thinking with next season in mind, trying out different combinations, or is it, as we've mentioned before, sort of a celebration of what's happened this season, the last hurrah for certain players? Is it a bit of both, maybe?
Well, I think Rob Edwards will pick the strongest team available and the best team available because, as Jamie mentioned, we want to finish at least above Burnley. On some miracle, we could finish above Forest. I'm very unlikely, and I'm not saying that's going to happen because chances are it won't, but we want to finish above Burnley, and to do that, we need the best team playing that we can have. So I think it's got to be full strength, or as close to full strength as we can do. And then if we are winning late on, bring on the likes of, I don't know, maybe a Luke Berry, or even, he's not going to be in the squad, but if Dan Potts was fit, I think maybe give him a run out for 10 minutes at the end just so he could get that appearance in the Premier League. But I think you've got to focus on winning the game first and foremost. And to do that, you've got to pick the best squad you can. And then, you've got pre-season to test out different combinations and new additions. And who knows what players from that squad will even be there after the summer. So I think that pre-season is important to test out those players. And next season in the Championship, there are so many games. So if you want to try new combinations, and Rob Edwards has tried a new style this season and it's worked at times, it hasn't worked at other times, but if he wants to try new things next year, there's plenty of opportunities to, and I think it'd be much more successful potentially in the Championship. So no, I think you've got to go with the full strength you can and then make changes as and when, and bring on the players you want to maybe give that last hurrah in front of Kenilworth Road.
Jamie, we'll just talk about one individual. Usually we run through a lot, but given, I guess, the team picks itself for when you're talking about going as strong as possible, the team really sort of picks itself at the moment. The only sort of question mark is probably Chio Ogbene after playing part of the game against West Ham. Do you start him? Again, he's a player that you'd like to think will keep hold of next season and could be a really, really important threat for us progressing and going forward in the Championship. Is he somebody you expect to play if he's a similar level of fitness to where he was after the West Ham game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's one of our best 11 players in the club. So as Finn says there, if you want to start your strongest 11, then he's certainly in it. For me, going into next season, he's one of the players that could stick around and could go. I think it would take a big bid for him to see us go. I mean, people on Twitter on both sides of the spectrum, one side saying 75 odd million, one side saying 5 million. I think the right price is probably around the sort of the 15-ish mark. I think he's proven at times this season what he can do. He's an international for Ireland. So unless we get that sort of money, he's sticking around. And if he does stick around, on the assumption that we stick with this 3-4-3 system, which I have no reason at this point to think that we won't, given the fact that that's what Edwards has done at Forest Green. That went really well, and he's played it 90%, 95% of the time for Luton, and it seems like it's his preferred system. I would love to see him at wing back next season. I think just to think of potential front three of, let's say, Chong plus Morris or Eli in the middle, plus either a new signing or Joe Taylor maybe is sort of like that supporting sort of wide forward, because he's played a forward out on that wide role next season. To have a front three like that, plus then Ogbene on the right, plus maybe Doughty on the left, that is almost like a wide front five is pretty frightening for the level, to be honest. So, as I said, season starts on Sunday. So if we think Ogbene's fit enough, and if we think he's going to stick around, and my preference is to play him at wing back, I think you've got to start him in that wing back role. He's got one Premier League game left in him this season. Hopefully he's with us next season. And yeah, I think it's fairly harsh on Fred because he's been thrown in the deep end. First appearance away at Spurs, no one even knew he'd be in the squad, and then he was suddenly on the team sheet. And given the context, he's done pretty well to come from a Championship loan up sort of in a front three, get injured, come back, and then play right wing back in some pretty tough games. I think he's done as best as he can. But yeah, I think Chio Ogbene is one of our strongest players, and if he's fit, you've got to start him.
And just looking at the kind of approach we expect, Finn, the pressure is somewhat off. We mentioned the smallest chance that we could stay up, but ultimately it's going to be quite a party atmosphere, celebration of our season, really. And I think that's going to be something that we can all feel around the ground. Do you think that's going to have some sort of knock-on effect in the crowd? Do you think of how tense a few home games have been since probably about Brentford? Do you expect that to play its part? Do you think that will be a good thing, a bad thing? What do you expect?
I think it'll be a good thing. I think the players feeling relaxed. Obviously, the crowd will feel quite relaxed because it's basically decided at this point. All season, it's been very tense. It's been, in all honesty, it's been quite stressful going to games this season. More stressful than I usually find it, and that is because of how much is on the line. And I think having that pressure off will be such a release, and I think the players will perform in a way that shows that they're more comfortable, they're more relaxed, and I think we might put in a very good performance. You quite often see on the last day of the season, as I mentioned, some slightly freak results or some big performances or things like that, and I think that is because of the pressure being off. So I think everything is sort of in our favour, being a home last game of the season. But at the end of the day, what we want is just a win to finish above Burnley, and then to be able to show appreciation for the players that have put in an unbelievable shift all season. There's been times this season where we've obviously all known where we've only had, 12, 13 players available to select from, 3 of those being goalkeepers, and there's been coaches getting injured in training. And I think just being able to celebrate what the players have done and the effort they've put in. I'm not sure there's a single player in that squad that you can fault the effort of at any point this season, or at least for any extended. And I think everyone who follows Luton will appreciate that, and I think that's something we'll see on Sunday.
Yeah, just echoing what Finn said there. It has been a very stressful season because as soon as that mistake's made, you are punished at this level. I think that's something everybody's spoken about from the players to the management, is just how relentless it can be. And I think we've probably felt that to its fullest extent, probably later on in the campaign. You even say the game on Saturday was the same, where West Ham turned a screw in the second half and suddenly we found ourselves 3-1 down. It's something I'm not going to miss as soon as a mistake's made. Conceding, that's something that the Championship might spare us of a little bit at least. We're going to head into a short break, but when we're back, we'll speak more about Fulham and we'll get the score predictions of Jamie and Finn. We are back for part 2 of today's episode, and we'll get in with a little bit of Fulham, a team like a lot of West London clubs that we seem to come up against. They seem to get the better of us, whether that be 7-0, whether that be 1-0 like the case in September, I think it was, the game was played. They're a good side, Jamie, this season, and I thought, I think you did as well, I thought they'd struggle given Mitrovic's departure. It's a key source of goals for them. Very, very difficult player to replace. But they've found a way. They've done it whilst playing good football. And I think Marco Silva, again, comes away with a fair amount of credit.
Yeah, they've done pretty well. And they've it's weird because it's a pretty different side to the side that played against us in September now. I mean, Muniz seems to have come out of nowhere. He's been pretty tremendous. He's scored a lot of goals, and to think of someone that was at Barber the season before and didn't really offer too much. So I think, yeah, as much as Silva's done pretty well, I think he's certainly a very good Premier League manager. Sometimes you benefit from the fact that there might be a player that comes out of the woodwork and just plays above expectation for some time, and I think Muniz has done that really well. They've clearly got a pretty much world-class midfielder in Paulinho, someone that was linked with Bayern and was basically there and signing on the dotted line before it fell through. So yeah, they've got some good players all over the pitch, and I think when I break down our chances this season, I think that's probably the difference between us and the sides that are mid-table in the Premier League. Like, you look at West Ham last week, like Bowen, Paqueta, Kudus, like 3 incredible players, and we just haven't got that. We've got players that in their own right are very good players and work their socks off for the club, and I think could quite rightly call themselves Premier League players, but you just lack that bit of magic. And while Paulinho is not a magical player, he has that just phenomenal ability to just dictate that midfield. Willian is a Premier League champion. He's played in the top flight for years now. So yeah, they've got quality all over the pitch. Like you said, at the start of the season, I thought that they'd be worse off. I think some of that was fed into the fact that I thought they might lose Paulinho. They obviously lost Mitrovic. I didn't think Jimenez was going to do too well, which he hasn't. But then they've had Muniz. It's just been an unknown entity that's just come out of the woodwork and done really well. So that also shows the margins at the level, because if they'd lost Paulinho and then also Muniz didn't come and become a sort of double-digit goal a season striker, then they probably would have struggled more than they have done. But yeah, full credit to Marco Silva for getting the best out of the squad that he's been given, and it's it's going to be an interesting summer for Fulham. Probably need to replace a few people. I think they're losing Tosin on a free. Might lose Paulinho in the summer if Bayern want to come back in for him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that Fulham side transitions into next season.
And Finn, looking at the game that was played in September, we ran out as 1-0 losers. It was the first game of the season where I remember leaving quite disappointed, because I think we had the chances to get something out of the game, and it was at a point of the season where picking up points was particularly difficult. What did you take away from that game, and how much of a similar game do you envision it being to the one that was played in September?
At that stage in the season, we were yet to win a game. We were slowly improving over the course of the games we played. We conceded one less goal every game, I remember. So we got down to one. But what I took from it was, from everything you saw of it, was we didn't take our chances. We created a lot of chances. We created some very good chances as well. I remember a Jacob Brown header that I think he hit the post or the crossbar with. One of a couple of chances he had over a few games where he did sort of similar things. There was a Chong counter-attack, but we just weren't really taking the chances at that stage in the season. But I think we've changed as a team since then. So back then we were very, very solid defensively at times and struggled to score. We seem to have gone the opposite way. So we're very good in front of goal at times, but we really struggled to keep teams out, and I think we have gone a bit more expansive. So I don't think the game will be similar at all. Fulham, I think, are potentially the most on-the-beach team in the league right now, which you can't really say it coming from their picture of the kites, because they've come out and said that wasn't during training, that was after training. But I just think where they are in the league, sort of Tosin's been dropped because they know he's going to be going in the summer. They brought in Issa Diop, who's, I think, struggled a little bit. So it is an opportunity for us to get something, and I think we are taking the chances that we weren't at that stage in the season.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic, because I think both teams have evolved massively since that game. Of course, that was back when I think we saw 23% possession that game, where we were just soaking up pressure, and that was the first time where we were really, really effective on the counter-attack. And of course, that's far from the style that we play now, far from how, just how Barkley's become such an integral figure alongside Lokonga has allowed us to manage the ball a lot better. Of course, we don't know if Barkley will be fit. I don't think we know at this point if he'll be fit to play. But still, we've seen, even in the absence of Barkley, we are a team that like to see more of the ball now, and we're getting more effective by doing that. So yeah, a completely different Luton and a fairly different Fulham as well is what I'm expecting. Jamie, looking at Fulham away from home, 15 points from 18 games. They've got pretty much double the points at home this season. Do you look into anything like that now at this point in the season? We say the phrases like on the beach and stuff like that, and you never know how true those kind of phrases are. But ultimately, they are a team that have not necessarily struggled on the road, because they've still picked up, a healthy amount of points compared to other teams. But you can clearly see that they've been a team that are better suited to playing at home this campaign. 15 points from 18. You see that as a positive?
Yeah, I think you have to. But I think, as Finn said, they're one of the most on the beach teams of the season. So if anything, they're probably it could work two ways. They could be completely sort of no pressure, free flowing, because it's the last game of the season. It's just try and go out with sort of same with us, that they want to end the season on a win. So they could play a different style, maybe be more expansive, more on the front foot, go out and score 2 or 3 goals and win the game. But equally, they could also be more relaxed, off the ball, because they think, there's no point making that 5-yard press and run, because I've got my holiday to the Caribbean coming up next week, so yeah, I'm just sort of got my feet up, and I'm thinking about packing my suitcase later in the evening. So yeah, it's such a tough game mentally for the players, especially if you are on the beach. So yeah, I don't think anyone really knows how that can impact. And then in terms of the away form, I think it just doesn't really matter at this point of the season. Of course, for our chances, it's a good thing, but yeah, who knows? They could have the worst away form in the league and then come to the Kenny and win 3-0 because it's the last game of the season. I think you've seen some really, really strange results in previous seasons on the last day. So yeah, it's anybody's guess.
Just imagine if we take a 2-goal lead inside 15 and we hear rumblings that Forest have gone one down. It could be quite the event come Sunday. The club put out, I think it was today or was it yesterday? I'm getting my days mixed up, but they basically put out a message for fans to wear their orange, make it a party atmosphere, celebrate the season. And it got me thinking that, you know, we got relegated. There's not many clubs that really, without sounding too patriotic to Luton, but we do things differently, and I think we're celebrating the fact that no one really envisioned us playing Premier League football as soon as we did. Rob Edwards delivered that, and he's had a very, very good crack at it, defying expectations along the way. I think that's probably the message, Jamie, that we defied expectations. We've proven a lot of people wrong, and we might not have survived the Premier League, but we gave it a very, very good go.
Yeah, and I look back, especially to being on the overlap for the first time last August, and nothing against the people on the show or Jamie or Gary, but it was almost a bit patronising in terms of, oh, you're sort of grateful to be here and you're going to enjoy your one season and off you pop. And yeah, okay, we've enjoyed our one season and we're getting relegated, of course, but there was all this talk of beating Derby's record, we're going to be the battering boys, and on overall we've not really been battered. We've had like a 5-1 at City, as 15 of the 19 other teams in this league could go to the Etihad on any one season and lose 5-1. But on the whole, we've not been battered at all. I mean, you go to the Etihad and you go to the Emirates and lose 2-0. You go to Spurs and lose 2-1 after going 1-0 up. You go to United and lose 1-0. You go to Liverpool and lose 4-1, but go 1-0 up inside the first half. So in some pretty big games, we have absolutely defied expectations. And ironically, what's let us down this season is the games against the teams around us. You look at that Burnley game at home pretty early on, and that was the chance to really start the season off on a great foot. Obviously, we'd gone to Brighton and lost. We'd gone to Chelsea and lost. We'd hosted West Ham and lost, but that wasn't really unexpected. But then the Burnley at home game was the game where you think, right, come on then, this is where we need to put some points together. And then just to lose that, it was you sort of lose faith at that point. And obviously you go to Goodison, get a fantastic win, and then you start to look up again, go to Forest and get the point. But overall, you think to only take 4 points from 12 against the fellow promoted teams, it just isn't good enough. Suddenly, if you start to take 8 from 12, then you're a point clear with a game to go, and you're basically talking about being safe, and that just shows the margins at this level. So that, for me, definitely is, if we had the chance again going in, who knows, the 25-26 season in the Premier League, if we can get promoted straight away, is just to beat the teams around you. But yeah, I think we've certainly made friends along this journey. Anyone that didn't know of the Luton story before May 23 does now. It's just, you can just feel it, like going to work and in the office, and every week people ask you about, how was the game at the weekend, and even if you'd lost, they'd be saying about how well Luton played, or they watched Match of the Day and they were impressed with sort of tactically or just how you'd set up, etc. And I think the narrative has changed next season, and I think whereas in the last season in the Championship, no one really cared up until April, whereas I think people would look out for Luton next season. You'd be sort of early on the season, and you'd think if Luton are first or second after 5 or 6 games, then there'd be a lot of talk about bouncing back at the first attempt. And yeah, I just think there's just that general good feeling from the outside of a club about a single club, and it's very rare to find that. So it just makes me proud to be a Luton fan, proud to be someone that's followed the journey from the outset to go down to the conference and back up and play the way we have and gain the plaudits for it. Just proud of everyone at the club.
And I don't think we can underestimate sort of the relationships we've struck. The main one to me, probably Pep Guardiola being so in not awe, but appreciating the way we approach games, the kind of front-footed nature, and genuinely developing a relationship with Rob Edwards. And you don't know what that kind of relationship could blossom into when it comes to potential loan deals next season, potential other deals that it comes to, especially with the way we play now, aligning, well, I don't want to say aligning to Man City, but how aggressive we are in the press, and the fact that we've become a lot more ball orientated probably shifts the notion that we are this tough, tackling, full of spirit team to we can play football in so many different ways. And going to Luton Town for a young player is only going to develop them in all different capacities. So I think in that respect, there could be, I like to think there's going to be a few potential interesting deals come the summer. Before all that, we have Fulham to play. And Finn, I want to get your score prediction, please.
So I think we're gonna win on the last day of the season, and it'll be as much of a party atmosphere as you can have when you're going down. And I think we're gonna win 3-1.
I like it, Jamie.
My unserious comment is 7-0 Luton and 5-0 Burnley. No, I think we'll win. I think we'll win 2-0, and I think we'll go 2-0 up at half time. Just to give a bit of a bit of excitement, a bit of hope to the fans at half time. But then I think Forest will take the lead early on in the second half, and then that'll be that. But yeah, I think we'll go out with a nice 3 points, end the season on 29 points, which would be disappointing to finish one short of that 30 mark. But we gave it a right good go.
I'm going to go for a Kenny classic of 3-2. Have we had one this season at Kenilworth Road where we won 3-2?
4-3, but no, not 3-2, I don't think.
4-3, a couple of 2-1s. Yeah, not a 3-2. So what better circumstances, the last game of the season, to cement a scoreline that is so synonymous with Luton Town. 3-2 I am going for. Well, a big thank you to the two of you for joining. A big thank you to everybody watching and listening wherever you may be. We'll be back after this game for the final review of the campaign. After that, we'll do a proper review of the whole season, because it's been an exciting one, even if relegation has been, I keep going to say confirmed, but not necessarily confirmed as of yet. But until next week, goodbye.